If you read the news, you are likely to think that AI is coming for all of our jobs in about 2 seconds. And this is neither right nor wrong. But the thing is, but we do have to understand what's happening because, Jaden, I think that for 3 years we've been hearing this, and it's starting to feel a little more real. There's a ton of stats to get to. I want to sort of talk about that Atlassian story that I know you've been talking a lot about.
Hmm.
Obviously, like the Block story, people kind of like know about, but I think we should touch on it. Obviously, what Dario Amodei, Mustafa Suleiman, all they say about like what white collar work can and will do. There's a job. Sort of people coming into jobs like that has fallen tremendously. So it's not like people are losing jobs. It's that just hiring has changed. I want to talk a lot about like, I want to talk something about my experience too with AI mindset. But mostly, Jaden, I just sort of like want to talk about how this is all working in the AI space. What's real, what's not, the news and how it applies to everybody here, because that's what AI Applied is all about. Jaden, just as we're kicking off, we've been mentioning this in the last couple episodes, and I just want to mention it here too. Guys, Jaden and I have started a new podcast, and it's called AI and Faith, and again, it's not going to be for everyone. Totally get that. But faith is pretty central to my life and to Jaden's life too. We talk about it a ton offline with our families and things like that. So, if you are interested in sort of like talking and hearing about like how we think about how AI is like hitting these really, really big fundamental existential questions, it might be fun to check out. So, Jaden will leave a link in the description to sort of like in case you want to join us over there too. Jaden, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Atlassian, or where do you want to start?
Let's start with Atlassian. It was the most recent, but they're following in the footsteps of Block. But essentially, yeah, they've announced that they are going to be laying off 10% of their workforce. They had a blog post they put out where they kind of outlined what was going on and why they were doing this. Their CEO kind of addresses everyone. And so, yeah, I think this is an interesting moment. They said specifically it's about 1,600 people, and they specifically said that they want to do this to allow them to, quote, spend more funds on AI. And so, like, it's really fascinating. They've also said that AI is, going to be able to help get a lot of the work done that these people were doing. So 10% of the workforce, 1,600 people. The quote from their CEO, Mike Cannon, said, "The bar for what great looks like in software companies on growth, on profitability, on speed, on value creation has gone up." And so this is also part of the reason why it's kind of interesting. The framing that he's put on this is he's like, look, the bar for what a great software company is looks like it's gone up. So now in order to fit that, we're going to, we're laying off people so we're more profitable, and we're going to use AI, invest more in AI to get a higher ROI on our company. Almost like an investment into, I'm not saying this is true, but I get the vibe that he's saying an investment into AI is going to give us a higher ROI than an investment into people. It's interesting, right?
Yep.
There's probably pros and cons and true and false parts of all of that. I do think it's interesting because we're seeing this as kind of a trend in the whole industry. Atlassian's doing this, but we also recently had Block CEO Jack Dorsey, formerly the CEO of Twitter. In February, he announced that they were cutting more than 4,000 employees. That's about almost half of their 10,000 employees at the time. So, I mean, like 40 to 50% of the whole company getting cut. And he specifically said that the AI cuts were being driven by the fact that AI could automate a lot of the work that those employees were doing. And he was kind of predicting that a lot of other companies were going to come to the same conclusion. I think he basically was using AI kind of as like an excuse for a job cut that probably needed to happen regardless inside of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think AI can improve a lot? Yes. But is there another way to do it? I also think yes. But I'll get into that. I want to kick this over to you, Connor, because I've been talking too long. What's your thoughts on the
No,
job
no,
market?
no. That's great. And Jane, I'm just going to toss in the chat, and you can sort of like put this up as well. I just kind of got a link. Tell me if you can open that, because there's a lot of question about like, was that Block layoff of 4,000 people with Jack Dorsey? Did that have anything to do with AI, or was it just they'd overhired during COVID and now they're doing restructuring? It's probably the latter. Probably it doesn't have a lot to do with AI, but I think you'd be crazy not to sort of see how that could work, right? I mean, like, and sort of like how it actually is working in real time. But this was the thing that Jaden that I saw, and I was just posting about it from the Dallas, the Federal's rep, right? But based in Dallas, and it's this really interesting sort of like take on it, right? Which is regardless of what you believe about layoffs, because every company will do things differently. The really interesting thing is that people who are in AI exposed areas, essentially, like it's not about like exact layoffs, it's like sort of like whose wages are rising and who can't get hired. So essentially, like what they say is like AI is great at replicating like what they call like codified knowledge, right? That's the stuff you learn in textbooks and stuff like that, but it can't touch tacit knowledge, right? That's what you get from uh, experience. So what that means and what they're finding is that this is the whole thing about the entry level, the entry rung on the career ladder, sort of like starting to snap. Because what they're finding is that if you have lower experience, your wages are going to be lower. If you have higher experience, your wages are going to go up in this AI world. And the real problem that they're finding is essentially that, uh, as we kind of know, right? Like white collar works with, you sort of get in the bottom rung and you kind of find people who have a lot of promise and who maybe got a degree in generally the area that you want. And then they work their way up and things like that. So what we're finding now is essentially that people can't get hired into those roles. So even as in those roles, the people already in those roles are getting paid more and more, not by a
Yep.
ton, but people can't get those jobs. And Jaden, this is sort of like where I wanted to, because this is research from, I think, Jaden, it's like 2 weeks ago, right? So like this is like super, super recent. It also just takes away like, well, did this company do it because of this? Or are they just saying that? Are they just saying it's AI? Amazon lays off 16,000 people. Is it because of AI? It's not that, but if they're going to do a layoff, I think for two things are happening, Jaden. One is that companies are more confident in doing layoffs because of AI, right? We saw this with Elon. People crushed Elon when he laid off like half of Twitter at that point, Twitter, right? They're like, Twitter's going to go down
Yeah.
overnight. And yet it didn't happen. And I don't think that you can sort of like completely ignore the fact that Elon knows AI very, very well,
Hmm.
right? That's number one. So regardless of whether it's bloated or not, this stuff is coming. I think number two, Jaden, I'd love to hear your experience on this too. You and I didn't talk about this beforehand, but just I'm putting it out there. So we have a company AI mindset, right? And what we do is like we train big organizations. We have a course that gets rolled out to multiple companies of, Fortune 500 companies of 10,000 person plus. We have enterprise partnerships, all that kind of stuff, right? So we are a company that's growing very, very fast. I had recently stepped down from NYU, and I say all that to say our company's growing, and when I think about like who we need to hire to really take advantage of opportunities because all our growth is inbound. Everything, and guys, this is sort of like just like sort of like behind the scenes a little bit, but like we don't reach out to companies. We just every day get things from some of the biggest companies in the world, many over and over and over and over, just saying like, "Hey, can you help us out? Can you help us out?" Right? Because we've helped a lot of the biggest ones. I guess we have a pretty good reputation. We've helped. I think we've done this for like almost a quarter million people at this point. Here's my point. Besides just like trying to brag to our
Yeah,
audience here.
by the way, guys, you continue your point, Connor, but before you do, by the way, if you haven't taken Connor's AI mindset course yet for upskilling yourself in the field of AI, it is linked in the description. He didn't tell me to plug this, but I 100% am going to plug it because literally there's companies that will have 10,000 employees and they'll mandate that everybody take this course because they see such high ROI inside their organization. So if those companies are doing it, you absolutely should have done it personally and recommend this, guys. I'm begging you for your company's sake. Recommend it to everyone inside of your organization. You'll see an incredibly huge impact, and not guaranteed. You'll probably get a raise, right? When the company sees how much you help. So I
Yes.
mean, not
That's
guaranteed,
that's the
but
plug I was looking for. Jaden, you're too kind. That's very kind of you, Jaden. But here's the thing, right? So, Jaden, as we're sort of like trying to hire, I'm finding myself looking for, I was looking at two kinds of people, and I want to hear you because this is what you did with your virtual employees. You were telling me the other day. I'm looking for more senior people. Not that we can't use junior people, we can. In fact, I sort of like just hired like two like pretty junior people, and then two other people who are generalists. But what I'm finding is that with the junior people, and I am all in on this, but it's also like, what will this person do that AI can't do? So I have to rethink it. I have to be like, okay, but what can I teach this person that then they can be sort of like one of our customer success people, or they can sort of like help run our hub, or they can like all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking for these junior people because they have potential. They're going to use AI really well. So I am hiring them, but I'm not hiring them in the same way I would have hired them a while ago, which is like, well, what can you do versus what AI can do? It's actually not about that. It's really like, when do you need people managing AI? And if I can hire somebody that can manage AI to do this, then I'm going to hire the same person. I'm just not going to hire them to do it. And that's how I rethink it. And Jaden, you have done this more than anybody I know. Kind of like think about like, entry level work, who you're hiring, who you need, who you don't need anymore. Can you share a little bit about, if you're comfortable, like how you've thought about that with AI box?
yeah. So I think I have made a huge shift in the last year as AI is getting better. In the past, and also I've run software companies before ChatGPT, before there's kind of the big AI boom, and it feels like a completely different world today. In the past, you're 100% right. I would try to hire people that were really experienced in a particular area that I didn't maybe have a lot of domain expertise or like knowledge in. And I'm like, look, I'm hiring you. You're going to go set up all of our Facebook ads. You're going to go run like our ad, whatever, like this department. You're going to go do this thing. And I would hire people based on skills. Today, it's completely different. Today, I'm hiring people usually based off of like, are you good with AI? Do you understand how to use AI? And then I'll kind of curtail tasks to that. Now, if someone is, let's say, a Facebook ads guru, they're going to understand how to better use AI, for example, in that specific field. So yes, there's some value there. But like, if I'm being 100% honest, a lot of what I would do today when I hire people, you hire people and I pay people based off of like how good they are at managing systems and critical thinking and figuring stuff out. You're going to get paid more.
Yep.
I will get someone that is really good at critical thinking, really good at figuring stuff out, really good at using AI tools. They have no experience in like this problem we're trying to solve. I will still hire them because I know that they can get it done with AI tools today. So it's like it's less about it's kind of weird but it's less about like being an ultimate expert in a particular area. You can absolutely get value. And also I think it's great because people are being trained and they're learning new things. I know this sounds so weird, but like I'm not hiring people that are experts in a particular domain right now.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're just able, especially if like I have a lot of experience or I know someone else has a lot of experience that could set up the architecture, set up the system, right? So like an example of how this might work, because I'm sure people are like, they're yelling at the microphones right now, like this sounds like the dumbest business strategy ever. Hire people that don't know what they're doing. Find one person or a consultant like you, Connor. And I think this is why a lot of companies will hire you and for your training. Find a consultant that's really good and really understands a particular problem. Have them help you build an architecture and build a system and tell you what AI tools to build. And maybe they've already done this for 100 other, like, look, I've done this AI customer support thing for 100 other people, but I can set it up for you and explain it in one day. They're the expert on that. And you can grab their brain for one day to help you set up the system. And then you get people that are inexperienced, but that can use AI to run the system. And that's how I'm thinking about it today.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. It really. We could do a whole episode on generalists. Like, guys, if you are a generalist, this is your time. I mean, you can actually really, really do this. It's super exciting time. I know we're at time. Guys, listen. Thank you for joining us. By the way, Jaeden recently celebrated a 30th birthday, and I was like, Jaeden, what do you want? And I was like dangled like car keys, this Maserati. He's like,
I
Connor,
was like, nah,
no, I don't want that. I was like, what about keys to this house? He's like, no. I was like, look, what this like this beautiful vacation, 14 days in the Caribbean. He's like, Connor, I want one thing. If I could just get everyone listening to the sound of my voice right now to leave a rating and review, that's all that I want for my 30th birthday. So, God, you got to help me out, guys. This
it's
is my
fact
buddy
checked
Jaeden.
true.
That's fact checked. If you would leave a rating review, do it for Jaeden. Do it for Jaeden. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.